The security implications of China-Greenland relations. Introduction. The security implications of China-Greenland relations embody a multifaceted interplay of economic, political, and societal factors primarily influenced by Greenland's aspirations for greater autonomy and eventual independence from Denmark. This report delves into the historical context, economic interests, and the theoretical frameworks underpinning the evolving dynamics of Sino-Greenlandic relations. Historical context and development of relations. Historically, the Arctic has been characterized by cooperation among regional states, often known as Arctic exceptionalism. However, the rise of China as a new player has raised concerns regarding the potential disruption of this cooperative dynamic. The formal engagement between China and Greenland began in 2012, driven primarily by China's economic pursuits in the Arctic, particularly focusing on the region's rich natural resources. Concurrently, Greenland's motivations are rooted in its political quest for increased autonomy and independence from Danish governance. Economic interests. China's interest in the Arctic is significantly influenced by its need for natural resources. The region is estimated to hold substantial undiscovered oil and gas reserves, making it a strategic area for resource diversification away from politically unstable regions such as the Middle East. Chinese initiatives in Greenland have focused on investments in rare earth minerals, with companies like NFC and Xinghua Resources actively involved in mining projects. However, challenges such as stringent environmental regulations, inadequate infrastructure, and the harsh Arctic climate present significant barriers to investment, potentially deterring further economic engagement despite the presence of substantial mineral reserves. Securitization theory. The analysis of China-Greenland relations employs a securitization framework to explore the differing perceptions of security among China, Greenland, and Denmark. For China, securing economic resources is paramount. For Greenland, the focus is on societal security and maintaining cultural identity amid potential economic dependence on Chinese investments. In contrast, Denmark's concerns center on preserving its sovereignty over Greenland and the implications for national security and international standing, particularly regarding its role within NATO and the Arctic Council. Identity and societal security. Greenland's pursuit of independence raises societal security concerns, especially regarding the potential influx of foreign workers predominantly from China. There is a palpable fear among the local population of becoming a minority in their own land, risking the erosion of traditional practices critical to their identity, such as fishing and hunting. Consequently, while resource exploitation could bolster Greenland's autonomy, it simultaneously threatens the island's cultural integrity. Political security and sovereignty. Denmark perceives China's growing presence in Greenland as a potential challenge to its sovereignty. The Danish Defense Intelligence Service has raised alarms regarding the implications of Chinese investments on Greenland's political landscape, warning that they could facilitate Greenland's independence and diminish Denmark's influence in Arctic affairs. This apprehension is exacerbated by legislative changes in Greenland which allow the employment of foreign workers, including those from China, igniting fears of cultural erosion among the local populace. Timeline of events. 2012 – Initial diplomatic engagement between China and Greenland with proposals for mining partnerships. 2016 – The Danish Defense Intelligence Service raises concerns about China's Arctic ambitions. 2017 – Increased Chinese investments in mining and infrastructure occur despite existing environmental and logistical challenges. 2018 – Pro-independence parties gain traction in Greenland, signaling a shift towards leveraging economic resources for autonomy. Conclusion. The evolving relationship between China and Greenland presents a multifaceted challenge for both Greenlandic identity and Danish sovereignty. While the economic opportunities stemming from Chinese investments could aid Greenland's aspirations for independence, they also pose significant risks to local culture and Denmark's geopolitical standing. The potential for misinterpretation of intentions and actions underscores the need for careful navigation of these emerging dynamics to maintain stability in the Arctic region. Further research is necessary to assess the long-term implications of these relationships on Arctic security. References: 1. Kenty Dubois and Alessandro Gagarides, The Security Implications of China-Greenland Relations, Polar Research and Policy Initiative, July 10, 2018. 2. Danish Defense Intelligence Service Reports. 3. Various academic analyses and reports detailing the socio-political landscape of Greenland, China's Arctic ambitions, and international relations in the Arctic context. This report encapsulates the complexities surrounding China-Greenland relations, emphasizing the intertwined nature of economic interests, political sovereignty, and societal identity within the broader Arctic security framework. The security implications of China-Greenland relations reveal several counterintuitive aspects regarding economic interests, identity concerns, and political dynamics. Here are the main points that illustrate the complexity of this relationship. 1. Economic interests versus political independence. While it seems logical that Greenland would welcome Chinese investment to bolster its economy and facilitate independence from Denmark, the reality is more nuanced. Chinese firms are driven primarily by economic motives in their dealings with Greenland, which contradicts the assumption that their involvement inherently supports Greenland's quest for autonomy. The local population fears that dependency on Chinese investments could actually undermine their efforts for true independence, as it may lead to economic reliance rather than genuine self-sufficiency. 2. Societal security concerns. The influx of foreign workers primarily from China is perceived as a potential threat to Greenlandic identity. This is counterintuitive because one would expect that economic development would be welcomed regardless of the source. However, the locals express fears of becoming a minority in their own homeland, leading to a loss of traditional practices, cultural integrity, and societal cohesion. The prospect of foreign labor, which is necessary for large-scale mining projects, creates a dilemma for Greenlanders who wish to maintain their cultural identity. 3. Denmark's sovereignty versus Greenland's autonomy. Denmark views increased Chinese presence in Greenland as a direct challenge to its sovereignty, which is unexpected given Denmark's status as a stable and sovereign authority over Greenland. The assumption might be that economic engagement would strengthen Denmark's influence. But the opposite is true. The Danish government is concerned that Chinese investments could facilitate Greenland's independence, thus diminishing Denmark's geopolitical standing and complicating its role in NATO and the Arctic Council. 4. Environmental concerns versus economic opportunity. Chinese companies face significant challenges in Greenland, such as stringent environmental regulations and inadequate infrastructure. This situation contradicts the expectation that a nation with vast mineral resources would be a top priority for foreign investors. In reality, these barriers deter investments, revealing that resource availability does not automatically equate to economic engagement or exploitation. Moreover, local environmental concerns add another layer of complexity, as resource extraction could lead to ecological damage that threatens traditional livelihoods. 5. Chinese investment as a double-edged sword. While Chinese investment is often viewed as a means for economic development, it could equally be perceived as a means of control. The irony lies in the fact that, while Greenland seeks to use these investments to gain autonomy, it may inadvertently be inviting a form of economic colonialism that compromises its sovereignty and identity. The long-term implications of this dynamic could lead to a situation where Greenland's aspirations for independence are undermined by the very investments intended to support them. 6. Perception of security threats. The relationship with China is framed through the lens of securitization theory, where different actors perceive threats based on their vulnerabilities. Greenland sees its societal identity at risk, while Denmark views its political sovereignty in jeopardy. This multifaceted perception of threats challenges the notion that economic partnerships are inherently beneficial, emphasizing that the motivations and fears of various stakeholders can lead to conflicting interpretations of the same situation. 7. Cultural erosion versus economic growth. The assumption that economic growth through resource exploitation would be universally beneficial is challenged by the reality that it may lead to cultural erosion. As Greenland pursues economic independence, the societal costs may outweigh the benefits, revealing an underappreciated tension between development and cultural preservation. This juxtaposition raises questions about the true cost of economic growth and the sustainability of Greenland's cultural identity. In conclusion, the China-Greenland relationship encapsulates a range of counterintuitive dynamics where economic interests, societal identity, and political sovereignty intersect in complex and often contradictory ways. Understanding these nuances is essential for navigating future policy decisions and ensuring that the aspirations of Greenlandic people align with their cultural and political aspirations. The security implications of China-Greenland relations are multifaceted and often overlooked in broader discussions about Arctic geopolitics. Here are key elements that are significant yet may not receive the attention they warrant. 1. Historical context and changing dynamics. The shift from Arctic exceptionalism, characterized by cooperation among Arctic nations, to a scenario where external powers like China are involved is profound. This change challenges established norms and raises questions about the future of regional governance in the Arctic. Understanding this historical backdrop is crucial because it highlights the potential for conflict or cooperation in a region that has been relatively stable. 2. Securitization of economic interests. Many analyses focus on the economic benefits of Chinese investments in Greenland's natural resources. However, the securitization theory applied here reveals deeper implications. For China, securing resources is not merely an economic endeavor, it is a matter of national security and global economic positioning. Conversely, Greenland perceives its economic engagement with China as a path to independence from Denmark, creating a dual layer of security concerns: the need for economic growth versus the fear of cultural and societal erosion. This complex interplay is significant because it underscores the potential for misinterpretation and conflict arising from differing security priorities. 3. Societal security and cultural identity. The societal security concerns in Greenland are particularly noteworthy. The local population fears that increased Chinese involvement will lead to an influx of foreign workers, which could dilute their cultural identity. This aspect is often underestimated in discussions of resource extraction, while economic development is crucial. The potential loss of traditional lifestyles and practices is a critical issue that could lead to social unrest and resistance against foreign investments. The significance lies in the potential for cultural clashes and identity crises, which can have long-term implications for social cohesion and stability. 4. Political security and sovereignty. Denmark's perspective on the security implications of China-Greenland relations adds another layer of complexity. The sovereignty concerns for Denmark are not just about maintaining control over Greenland but also about its position within international alliances like NATO. As Greenland seeks to leverage its resources for greater autonomy, Denmark fears losing influence in Arctic affairs. This dynamic is significant because it reflects the broader geopolitical tensions between established powers and rising ones, particularly in strategic regions like the Arctic. 5. Environmental considerations and regulatory challenges. While economic opportunities abound, the environmental regulations in Greenland pose significant challenges for Chinese investments. The potential for ecological degradation as a result of mining activities is a critical concern that intersects with both societal security and political stability. The significance is twofold: it affects the local population's health and lifestyle while also influencing international perceptions of China's role in the Arctic, possibly leading to diplomatic tensions if not managed properly. 6. Legislative changes and their implications. The recent changes in legislation allowing foreign workers to be employed in Greenland are pivotal. These changes can facilitate Chinese investments but also exacerbate fears of cultural erosion among Greenlanders. The potential for local populations to become minorities in their own land due to economic migration is a significant concern that could fuel nationalist sentiments and opposition to foreign investments. This aspect is often overlooked but is crucial for understanding the local dynamics that could affect the stability of Sino-Greenlandic relations. 7. Long-term independence aspirations. Greenland's pursuit of independence from Denmark, fueled by the desire to exploit its natural resources, presents a paradox. While economic independence may seem achievable through foreign investments, the societal and cultural risks involved could undermine the very independence Greenland seeks. This tension highlights the complexity of national identity in the face of globalization and foreign influence, making it a significant and often underestimated element in discussions about Arctic geopolitics. 8. Regional implications for Arctic governance. The implications of a stronger Chinese presence in Greenland extend beyond bilateral relations and touch upon the broader governance of the Arctic. If Greenland were to gain independence, Denmark's diminished role in Arctic governance could lead to a power vacuum affecting existing structures like the Arctic Council. This potential shift in governance dynamics is significant as it could lead to increased competition among Arctic states and non-Arctic states for influence in the region. 9. Dual-use resource concerns. The potential for Chinese investments to involve dual-use technologies, particularly concerning minerals like uranium, raises significant security concerns for Denmark and its allies. The implications of this are profound, as any perceived threat to national security can lead to heightened military and diplomatic responses. This aspect is crucial in understanding the broader geopolitical landscape and the strategic calculations of states involved in Arctic affairs. 10. Misinterpretation of intentions. The potential for misinterpretation of intentions between China, Greenland, and Denmark is a significant risk that could lead to unintended escalations. Each party's distinct security concerns may lead to actions perceived as aggressive or threatening by others, creating a cycle of suspicion and hostility. This dynamic is significant because it underscores the importance of communication, trust-building, and diplomatic efforts in mitigating tensions and fostering a cooperative environment in the Arctic. Conclusion. The security implications of China-Greenland relations are intricate and multifaceted, warranting deeper exploration beyond economic narratives. The interplay of historical context, societal identity, political sovereignty, environmental concerns, and regional governance dynamics presents a complex landscape that could shape the future of the Arctic. Recognizing and addressing these often overlooked dimensions is essential for fostering stability and cooperation in a rapidly changing geopolitical environment. The security implications of China-Greenland relations present a multifaceted landscape characterized by a blend of economic interests, political aspirations, and identity concerns. Here are 4 key points for in-depth analysis and discussion. 1. Economic interests and resource management. China's keen interest in Greenland is primarily driven by the latter's vast natural resources, including rare earth minerals, oil, and gas. The Arctic region is estimated to contain significant undiscovered reserves, which China views as critical for diversifying its supply sources, particularly to reduce its dependence on politically unstable regions like the Middle East. Chinese companies have made substantial investments in Greenland's mining sector, driven by the potential for resource extraction. However, challenges such as stringent environmental regulations and inadequate infrastructure may impede these investments. Therefore, while China's economic presence offers Greenland opportunities for development and autonomy, it raises questions about the sustainability of these resources and the environmental implications of their extraction. 2. Securitization theory and different perceptions of security. The article employs a securitization framework to analyze the differing security perceptions among China, Greenland, and Denmark. For China, the focus is on securing economic resources to sustain its growth. For Greenland, societal security revolves around maintaining cultural identity against potential economic dependence on foreign investments. Denmark's concern is rooted in sovereignty and its geopolitical role in the Arctic, particularly within NATO and the Arctic Council. This multifaceted security dynamic highlights the potential for misinterpretation of intentions and actions, necessitating careful navigation to mitigate tensions and maintain stability in the region. 3. Identity and societal security concerns. Greenland's pursuit of independence from Denmark brings to the forefront issues of identity and societal security. The influx of foreign workers, particularly from China, raises fears among the local population about becoming a minority in their own land and losing traditional practices central to their cultural identity, such as hunting and fishing. As Greenland seeks to leverage its natural resources for greater autonomy, there is a delicate balance to maintain between economic development and the preservation of cultural integrity. This tension may lead to a securitization process where economic ventures are perceived as threats to societal values, warranting further exploration of how these dynamics evolve. 4. Political security and sovereignty implications for Denmark. Denmark's sovereignty over Greenland is increasingly challenged by China's growing influence in the region. The Danish Defense Intelligence Service has expressed concerns that Chinese investments could facilitate Greenland's independence, diminishing Denmark's political influence in Arctic affairs. The geopolitical implications of this relationship extend beyond bilateral dynamics, as Denmark's role within NATO and the Arctic Council could be compromised if Greenland were to gain independence. This situation underscores the need for Denmark to carefully manage its relationship with both Greenland and China, balancing its interests in maintaining sovereignty while respecting Greenland's aspirations for self-determination. Conclusion. The evolving relationship between China and Greenland encapsulates a complex interplay of economic, political, and societal factors. While China's interest in Greenland presents opportunities for development, it also poses significant risks to local identity and undermines Denmark's geopolitical standing. As these dynamics continue to unfold, further research is required to understand their long-term implications for Arctic security and regional stability. 1. The Cuban Missile Crisis 1962. This pivotal moment in U.S. Cuba-Soviet relations illustrates the security implications of foreign influence in a region. Following Fidel Castro's rise to power, Cuba became a focal point of Cold War tensions, particularly when the Soviet Union placed nuclear missiles on the island. The crisis highlighted how a small nation's relations with a major power could threaten the security of a larger nation, in this case the U.S. The event showcased the interconnections between national sovereignty, identity concerns, and the geopolitical strategies of superpowers. Similar to Greenland's relationship with China and Denmark. 2. Norway's acquisition of Svalbard 1920. The Svalbard Treaty established Norwegian sovereignty over the Svalbard archipelago while ensuring equal rights for all signatory countries to exploit its natural resources. This situation mirrors Greenland's current dilemma as it navigates its relationship with Denmark and China in the context of resource management and sovereignty. Norway's management of Svalbard has raised questions about the balance between economic interests and the preservation of local identity, reflecting Greenland's concerns about cultural erosion amidst foreign investments. 3. The East India Company and British colonialism in India 1600 to 1858. The East India Company's activities in India serve as a historical parallel to China's investments in Greenland. Initially a trading company, the East India Company expanded its influence and control over Indian territories, leading to significant political and social changes. This expansion was characterized by a complex interplay of economic exploitation and cultural transformation, causing identity concerns among local populations. Likewise, China's economic interests in Greenland raise fears of cultural dilution and loss of autonomy, echoing the historical experiences of India under colonial rule. Future outlook: security implications of China-Greenland relations. The evolving relationship between China and Greenland presents significant implications for regional security dynamics, particularly for Denmark and the broader Arctic context. As we look toward the future, several predictions can be made regarding the trajectory of this complex interplay of economic ambitions, political aspirations, and identity concerns. 1. Increased Chinese economic presence. As Greenland continues to explore its resource potential, it is likely that the economic ties with China will deepen. Chinese investments in mining and infrastructure are expected to grow, driven by Beijing's ambitions to secure rare earth elements and other vital resources. This expansion may lead to an influx of Chinese companies, further establishing China as a key player in Greenland's economic landscape. However, logistical challenges, environmental regulations, and local opposition may slow this process, necessitating careful navigation of local sentiments and regulations. 2. Greenland's path to autonomy. Greenland's pursuit of independence is expected to gain momentum, particularly if economic developments from Chinese investments yield substantial revenues. This financial independence could empower Greenland to push for greater political autonomy, potentially leading to a formal declaration of independence from Denmark. However, this ambition will be tempered by societal concerns over cultural identity and the potential dilution of Greenlandic traditions through foreign influence and immigration. 3. Societal security concerns. The societal security implications of increased Chinese presence in Greenland will likely intensify. As foreign workers arrive to support Chinese investments, local fears of cultural erosion may lead to social tensions. The balance between economic benefits and the preservation of Greenlandic identity will be a critical issue, potentially resulting in grassroots movements advocating for stricter immigration controls or limitations on foreign investment. The increasing visibility of pro-independence sentiments could further exacerbate these tensions, creating a complex socio-political landscape. 4. Denmark's strategic response. Denmark will likely respond to the changing dynamics with heightened vigilance regarding its sovereignty over Greenland. This could involve reinforcing military presence and diplomatic efforts to maintain influence in Arctic affairs. Denmark may also seek to bolster its ties with the United States and other NATO allies, framing Chinese investments in Greenland as a potential threat to regional security. Additionally, Copenhagen might push for international discussions on Arctic governance to address emerging concerns about resource exploitation and geopolitical competition. 5. Geopolitical tensions in the Arctic. As China solidifies its economic foothold in Greenland, geopolitical tensions in the Arctic may escalate. The increased competition for resources, particularly in light of climate change and the melting ice caps, could lead to heightened military posturing among Arctic nations. China's ambitions, framed within the context of its Polar Silk Road, may be viewed as a direct challenge to the existing security architecture, prompting Arctic states to take a firmer stance in defending their interests. 6. Environmental considerations. The environmental implications of resource extraction will remain at the forefront of the Greenland-China relationship. As climate change accelerates, the need for sustainable practices will become increasingly important. Local and international environmental groups are likely to exert pressure on both the Greenlandic government and Chinese companies to adhere to stricter environmental standards. This could lead to potential conflicts between economic ambitions and environmental sustainability, influencing public opinion and policy decisions. 7. Evolving international norms. As the Arctic becomes a focal point for global competition, international norms regarding resource governance, territorial claims, and environmental stewardship will likely evolve. The role of organizations such as the Arctic Council may become more pronounced, with increased calls for collaborative approaches to address shared challenges. This could result in new frameworks for managing resources and ensuring security in the region, potentially moderating the competitive dynamics between China and Arctic states. Conclusion. The future trajectory of China-Greenland relations will be shaped by a multitude of factors, including economic ambitions, political aspirations, societal security concerns, and the overarching geopolitical landscape. While the potential for economic collaboration exists, it is fraught with risks related to identity preservation, sovereignty, and environmental sustainability. The interplay of these dynamics will require careful management by all parties involved as they navigate the complexities of a rapidly changing Arctic environment. As such, ongoing research and dialogue will be essential to understanding and addressing the security implications of this evolving relationship.